There are two deal breakers I have with this camera, the good and the bad of the GoPro Max 2. G'day guys, what's cracking? I'm Ralph Mayhew and welcome to this conversation. Why would you get a 360 camera? Well, I think you get a 360 camera for a few reasons. One, if you were doing a lot of interviews where you're interviewing this person and interviewing yourself and you just want a camera in the middle, it's ideal for that. If you're offering training in the workplace, this week I've been shooting Pickleball Australia and they did some coaching and I said to them, 360 camera will be ideal. However, there are some drawbacks that we'll get to later on in this video. If you're going and you're being a tourist and you want to walk around and remember where you were, you can stick this up in the air and it will capture all this stuff, and then later on you can pick and choose what you like.
An action cam. How could I forget action sports? All right, let's go.
And if you just want a creative way of looking at the world and engaging with the world, then it's really great to get a 360 camera. But the GoPro has some strengths and also has some considerable weaknesses that we really need to look at. Has your on and off button on the side with a microphone here, has your go shutter button up the top, and your door here. The door is still the same old frustrating door that if you've got cold hands, it's going to kill your fingers on this trying to get it open. And I've had a little bit of difficulty shutting it all the time. You've got a battery in there and your mini SD card sits in there as well as your USB-C, which is good for charging. But when you plug this via USB-C into your computer, I've got an M2 Mac, doesn't pick it up. So it actually on Lightroom comes up and says Max 2, but you can't access it, and then nowhere else on the computer does it register this after it says, are you allowing this? And you say allow, and then it doesn't register it. So I can't actually draw the files off here through the USB cable that they give me onto the computer. There are two deal breakers I have with this camera, and the first that just drives me crazy is they don't have a desktop editor. They've actually phased it out. They used to, and now they've phased it out, and they require you to do everything on your phone. I'm sick of my phone. Are you sick of your phone? Like there's movement about get off your phones more, and now I have to use my phone to edit my 360 video from the GoPro Max 2. Now what that means is your phone needs to be at least 4 years old or younger. If it's older than that, you're going to be asking it to do much and you're going to be super, super frustrated. So already, if you've got an old phone, you want a 360 camera that's the Max 2, you really have to go and get a new phone. And that doesn't exactly justify the cost of a new camera, does it? So let me just show you really briefly what the app can actually do when you're not accessing the 360 capabilities of this camera. Here's what it can do. First of all, you can select your lens, but it is only limited to the lens that you shot it on. In this case, it's wide. You can horizon level it or rotate it if you choose, or even flip it over. You can go horizontal or vertical. We can choose any orientation there that we like. There's so many filters to choose from. You just go along till you pick the one that you like. Once you like it, you can then select it and it applies it to the screen as per touch. Next, you can change the speed of the film by selecting this, and then you can choose all the way down to that, slow it down or speed it up to 32 times, whatever is your preference. You can change the volume if you like. You can even adjust the specifics of the video, from contrast to vibrance to temperature to shadows to highlights. You can even change the exposure. You name it, it can do it, and it applies it quite well. Quite strong settings, like you're tuning in some raw footage rather than just your average video. You can also put a sticker on if that's your desire. Not really mine though. With the 360 edit, once you select your editing, you have a heap of things you can actually do. You can change your keyframes, object tracking, which once you've selected that, press this, you can actually draw a box around what you want it to track and start tracking, and it will do that pretty consistently all the way through the video. You can then choose what sort of tracking you'd like to portray with these options down here, depending on what you're doing and what your need is. You see that handheld makes it all jittery. So you have some options there that are really quite impressive and interesting. You can go to motion frame or POV or camera effects if you so choose. You can change your ratio to any one of these options. Then we go to reframe, and I can then twist this however I like. I can even turn it around. So if I want to just do a side option or a front option, you see where it's a little bit like that, I can just tweak that so it's nice and straight. I can update this, go done, Then I can add a filter just as before. You saw all those filters. So these are just different options that allow you to have this instant feel and look to your video depending on what you're going for. You can change the volume just as you can on the normal video. You can also edit your video as you see fit. In this test, I'm going to run the left hand side at 8-bit video quality at 4K 60. And then for this part of the test, I'm going to run it 10-bit video quality at 4K 60, and we'll compare the two side by side. And in my personal opinion, I can't see much difference between 10-bit and 8-bit. I know that might upset some of you, but I really can't see the difference. I was really frustrated, and it forces you to have enough space on your phone, so I had to delete a heap of things off my phone, not to have the app, but to have your footage on there. And then once it's all on there, it's quite easy to move around, and I was actually a little bit relieved that it wasn't so frustrating to work it all out and then to export it. But I had to export it from the GoPro app to my phone, and then I had to export it from my phone onto my laptop. And it's like, surely a desktop, like, what is the problem? What is the problem? A bee in my bonnet match? It has these lens covers that sit on your camera. You have one for each side, which is really cool. And so if you're only using one side of the camera, you only have to take one off. It's really thoughtful of them. I like it. They're nice, they're snug, and if you put the latch at the top, you can easily just pull it off whenever you need, but it's not going to fall off. It's got a bit of stickiness to it. The benefit of the Max 2 is if you shatter or smash one of the lenses, you scratch one of the lenses, you just turn it to the side and it comes off. You do need to be careful though. If you turn the lens cap the wrong way, it actually unscrews the entire lens and comes off in your hand. So you pull it off, it's shattered, you throw it away, you get a new one, you stick it back on. You don't get extra new ones with the base set. They may have other like adventure kits or whatever that have more. It would have been good, I thought, if they'd really capitalized on this, and they could have charged a little bit more, but stuck an extra 2 lenses or glass lens covers in the pack, so you can stick it on your camera. Now what I noticed, I had to play with them and I took them off, and I took one off, which was this one, and then I went for a run, which you'll see in just a minute, and then when I looked at it, it actually had a condensation smudge right in the middle. So you just need to be careful taking these lens covers off and putting them on. You got the fingers on the bottom, obviously, for a GoPro mount, and then this is the screen. It's quite a small screen you get. It's the same as every other GoPro screen you've ever seen, and the menu is the same as every other GoPro menu you've ever seen. And you know what, if you've watched my action camera videos, you know that I have a frustration with the limitations of the menu system, because you have to go all the way in and then all the way out, and it's just fatiguing and tiresome. And now, one of the things I do not understand why GoPro have done this, and they do this with their cameras and I just don't get it, but they have a 1/2.3 inch sensor in here. It's dual sensor. There's 2 sensors. There's one for each lens, which is handy and good and necessary for a 360 camera. But this is what a 1/2.3 inch lens looks like compared to a 1 inch sensor that is in the DJI Osmo 360. Look at the size difference. And that size difference has 2 major impacts. One, it affects your high dynamic range. So it affects the colors and the way it picks up light and the clarity of the image. And 2, it's low light functionality. So I do not know. I just don't know why they've done it. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take the video for a bit of a test. So this is 8K at 30 frames a second, and we can choose 8K at 24 frames if we like. This is on 16-bit quality. The sharpness is medium. It's a standard color profile. Everything else is on auto, and I'm going to show you how wide it goes now, how wide it is. And now we're going to come back to more of a linear, some more of me framed. Now there's no wind reduction on the camera, and that is because there's no wind around. Okay, now we have the wind reduction on. There's a nice breeze that should stuff up the audio if it's not working. So what do you reckon? Is it working? There's also plenty of birds and an ambient noise, so if you can hear a nature sound in the background, it's doing really, really well. It should have 8 surround sound mics that really pick up that space. And I'm just going to turn around because it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun is just over here, and so it's causing me to go in and out of light, and that's actually intentional because I really want to see what this sensor can do. It's one of the limitations or potential limitations of the Max 2, that the sensor isn't as big as, I don't know if anyone else thinks it, but I reckon they should have gone to 1 inch, because it just give a better quality and pick up better in low light. So this is my living room. It's got 2 LED lights in the ceiling, and any camera should really be able to work functionally in here. This is my hallway. It's equally light and should again be able to not be too pixelated, not be too noisy, not have too many artifacts. Okay, now this is my living room, and there are a bunch of lights, but I've only got 2 of them turned on. And it's actually quite dark, so we're going to go into the other room where it's insanely dark. I can see totally fine. This is what it looks like with my iPhone, so it is really quite dark. But let's try something different. So now we're outside, and this should be really bright. Our sensor lights are on and the ceiling lights are on, but I'm just going to walk into the darkness. It sounds a bit morbid, doesn't it? And what's the quality like at this stage? I'm honestly not sure you'd ever be vlogging and expecting a camera to work in anything darker than this. Now the security light's gone off, and you should be able to see me quite easily, but I'm not sure you can. What do we think about the low light quality? Let us know in the comments down below. The 8K it refers to with this camera doesn't mean you get to see 8K. It means all that is captured is 8K. So what that means is when you export it around 4K, you're actually looking at about a 2 to 3K equivalent. So you lose a lot of quality when you're using the 8K option, but you do have heaps of functionality. GoPro claim that the Max 2 has 16 to 21% more usable resolution on the 8K when that shoots 360, right? Now, what that means is when you stitch something together, so for it to be 360, they got the problem of the seam where the 2 lenses come together. So you need to stitch that. And what cameras do is they do this, and then they lose all these extra pixels, right? So the idea is that if you can lose less pixels but still have an effective stitch, it increases the quality here and potentially offsets the need for a larger sensor. So when I turn you on my side, so at the moment I'm looking at the side of the camera, that there shouldn't be any issues with stitching. And so now my nose is about 10 centimeters away from the camera. And what do you think? Let me pull it back. I'm going to keep my face there, and then I'm going to put the camera on a bit of a tilt, and I'm looking right down the crease and the stitch. Oh, what do you reckon? Have a look at this hyperlapse. I went for a run. Look how stable it is. Look at the detail you get. I even went into the dark, and it holds the detail really, really well. Let's just play that in reverse so we can have another look at it. The stabilization, it's really great quality. Very, very happy with that. I do like what it can do with the photos. So watch this. I had the selfie stick above my head, and then I just decided I'm just using my fingers, and I'm zooming in and out and pinching to them together and pulling them apart. So you can have really cool, like way out like that, or you can push it in half and get this little globe experience, which you can't do on other 360 cameras that I'm aware of, but you can on the Max 2. Which is unique to the GoPro Max 2. The selfie stick is meant to be invisible. In this shot, it's not. But the reason it's not is because of this. This was the connection I had to use because it doesn't come with a really small GoPro mount that complements the selfie stick. And unless you buy one separately, you're kind of stuck in this space. And you will notice the lens glare. The lens was up above me, behind me, so it's shining right onto the camera. But that's one of the challenges of a 360 camera, and that is some shocking lens glare. It makes me look really pale and washed out, and you can see those streaks of light coming through. And you know, I said there were 2 deal breakers with this camera. Well, here's the second. Now, we both know all the issues of overheating that GoPro has had over the years. So what happens when you put it on 8K, which is the best way to use this 360 camera, it means you get 2.7 or so K in actual frames, so it's really important to bump up the resolution. What happens if we put it to a heat test, and I just put it on 8K at 60, I have everything else turned off, and I press record, and I let it play through. What's your guess? Put your guess right now down below in how long you think it will take before the camera packs it in. The room was about 24 degrees. It was really quite pleasant, and the camera was, as you can see, elevated from a desk, so it wasn't encumbered by anything, but it didn't have airflow going through, so you need to keep these things in mind. So 16 minutes and 3 seconds, like, are you kidding me? It means you can't do anything prolonged with the 360 camera expecting to get anything good, usable results out of it. It's just, I don't know, it's almost a showstopper for me. If I watched this review and I saw that, I would have trouble buying this product. I really would. I haven't really left much up to the imagination about what I think about this camera, have I? Yeah, let me just say, it's brilliant compared to a camera that cannot do 360. Like, we're a little bit spoilt, and I recognize that. I'm a little bit spoiled in the video. I'm just like, oh yeah, I have such high expectations. Well, they charge a premium, and therefore you pay the premium, and there's these challenges, right? I'll do a comparison between this and the DJI Osmo 360, but my experience thus far is the 360 from DJI slays. Now, I might be wrong. I might put them next to each other. I'm like, oh, wow, actually really good. But the overheating issue, the smaller sensor issue, and the phone editing only issue, you can sense I'm a little bit more worked up than I should be about a camera. I hope this has been beneficial. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of you that are like completely disagree, and you can let me know down below. And there's links. If you're thinking after watching all that, you're like, actually, I want the camera, which is totally plausible. Anyway, what do you reckon? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Or you may have watched this video and gone, this guy's not for me. But you did that a long time ago. You didn't even watch through to here. So thanks for those of you that have watched this little bit. There's 2 or 3 of you. You guys are the best. Thanks heaps for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.